In this video, we unbox the latest game from CMON, Cthulhu, Death May Die. Let's take a look. In one of my very early unboxings, we did the first shipment of this game, which was the giant rising Cthulhu monster that came for this game. I'll make sure I put a link in the description and a card up to let you go back to rewatch that. That miniature was one of the largest in gaming history, where I believe the only larger miniature is with the Star Wars Armada, the Death Star miniature. But what makes the miniature for this game so cool is that it actually can be as part of the play area, and its base is actually part of the base that all of your characters will run around on. This right here is finally the second wave of shipment, the actual game. Here we have the base game. I will do the Kickstarter exclusive separately, just in case you get this retail. You can know what the differences are and what to expect. Let's go ahead and flip this over and take a look at the back. Here we go. You can see its components, and this is kind of interesting, where here they're actually showing you the miniatures right here off the rip, all the components in the game. Not a children's toy, ages 14 plus. This is a horror-themed game. There are horror elements to this game. There are mature components to this game for sure. Here we can see a brief layout of what your play area would be, with your recommendations of it's a 1 to 5 player game, which is always key for me, that it's got that solo option. As I'm looking for games, that is one of the key elements that I'm always looking for. Unless there's something really special about games that don't have solo, I'm pretty much only into the solo options. It is, again, for ages 14 plus, with an average runtime of 90 to 120 minutes. The ritual is nearly complete. The unspeakable old ones will enter our world. You can't stop it. You have to destroy them. An ancient apocalyptic cult has nearly summoned a great old one into our world. Its devastating arrival is imminent. Now what? Cthulhu, Death May Die is an action-packed cooperative board game for 1 to 5 players. To defeat the eldritch horrors from out of space and time, you must embrace madness and work together. You'll need to uncover and solve the mysteries of up to 6 different episodic stories using your unique combination of skills and insanities, fighting a wide array of terrible monsters from across the mythos. Then you must disrupt the ritual just long enough to make the Elder One vulnerable and kill it dead. It's probably a one-way trip, but you're up for it, right? Now this sounds just like my kind of horror board game. I can't wait. Let's go ahead and crack it open and take a look inside. There we go. And up front, looks like we have our character sheets, and we will save those for a minute. Here we have the rule book. Let's go ahead and flip through this real quick. Come to the end, and sure enough, there is a rules summary, or a little glossary of reference sheet. Always makes playing the game easier. Let's see. Is there any kind of index or anything? Oh, here. Oh, look at this. Nice little index telling you where the things are, what pages to go through. This always makes learning and playing a game so much easier. Like here, fighting enemies. Without something like this, you might go through and you might go to just page 15 and think, okay, I've seen fighting enemies. You might not realize that here on 18, between, not including 17, but here, you might not realize that there's more information on this on 18, and you might miss that. And that might be the very part that you are looking for. This is always huge in rule books. I'm so happy to see this. And then, of course, for them to give credit where credit is due. That's always a nice little addition. Let's go ahead and flip through this. So here we have our table of content and our components overview, where we get pictures of everything. Always a great addition, so you can not only verify what you have in the game, but then you can actually see what things go to. Because if it just says mission cards, sometimes how do you know what a mission card is? Here are those episodes that it talked about. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And I'm guessing there's going to be potentially more in the Unspeakable box, which is the Kickstarter exclusive, as well as episode 2, which I will need to get my hands on. This is already looking very cool. I'm definitely liking what I'm seeing thus far. All right. And let's just cheat one more time real quick. 14, 15. So 17, 18, 20. It's a 20-page rule book. That's a pretty nice size rule book, though I'm seeing a lot of imagery, a lot of pictures going on here. Not as much text. The text size seems okay for me. This size text is what I prefer. There's so much art. It's a very beautiful rule book. I wish all the text was more this size. I'd rather have a little easier reading than some pretty little pictures here and there. Very cool. Talking about the storyboards and the cards. Mythos cards. Oh, see, and this art is just so beautiful. I mean, it just brings you in. I'm guessing this is going to be a great horror game that's really going to suck you in. Investigators and Insanity. And this is one of those interesting, when we read the back of the box, it talked about taking advantage of insanity and using it to your benefit. As you go insane, that's what's leveling up your character and giving you abilities. But if you go too far, it actually kills you. So there is that threshold of how insane do I go to keep getting new abilities, but not go so far that it completely overwhelms me. Oh, I love it. And dice checks and bonus dice. Rerolls. There we go. See, this is also what I like to see when we see these kind of things in the rules, re-rolls and things that help you mitigate bad rolls. I love rolling dice in a game and that randomness it brings, yet I also want to be able to have that aspect in the game where I can better my odds. If I'm rolling bad that day, I hate to lose to a boss, minion, monster, what have you, because I rolled bad that day, where I had the good strategy, good plan going, and rolling is what got me. So when they can have things here, roll mitigations and that kind of stuff to help you, I love to see that kind of a thing. Because you don't necessarily have to take advantage of it. You don't have to up your thing. Usually, you can save that usually experience and I don't know how this one works. I haven't really dove into the rules all that much, but seeing that option is a good plus for me. I like being able to see that. Nice little setup showing you what to expect, what it to look like. This is kind of interesting. It looks like it's going to be a fairly large board where each character is going to have their setup. That's probably going to be our end monster. And the monsters that we'll be facing. And then, of course, here is the area. One thing that I liked and I've seen in some of the playthroughs is that they have these little tokens. Let me see if we can go back to the... Here, oh, here we go. We have these stairway tokens and tunnel tokens to bring you from one place in the board to another, which will add depth to the game, because it might have you where you're at a ground level and you go to the stairs up to a higher tower or to a different section or through a tunnel. I like that aspect. That sounds very cool. I like seeing how that plays. Kind of like the old Clue, where you jump from the corners to corners. But here, where it's very area specific, and it's going to change based by where you put those tokens. And then the turn sequences. Very cool. End game scenario. And then, of course, again, that index, which we've already looked at. And our rules summary. Very cool. And then what is this? Yeah. There we go. That's that boss board that we looked at. There we go. So here is that. This is huge. Look, you get an idea. It's taking up this entire box. The just cover art, basically. The printing on this is kind of weird, though. I won't lie, because you would expect, this to be, but I believe this is up, or maybe not. Okay, maybe that's right, because I could have swore it looked the other way around in the setup. Yeah, so here in the setup, it looks like you line it that way, but all the wording and with that back print, we'll have to see. That'll be interesting to check when we get to the whole setup and rules video to see what's the best way to do this. But just alone, I can already tell you that the footprint for this game is going to be absolutely huge. This is going to be one of those hard games to film a run through because just the layout is going to be so huge. Wow. All right, so up next we will go ahead and take a look at all of the different character cards. Sister Beth and her stats. Again, here if I remember right, just by doing a quick glance over on those rules is where you will work on her dice mitigation. And then here is her experience chart. So as she's going more and more insane, she's getting more and more abilities that you're adding in. Very cool. And if that isn't Indiana Jones, I don't know who is. Morgan. The Kid. Unknown. That's all we get is the Kid. Now, I don't know the story behind this, but if she doesn't go all monster at some point and turn against you, that's a missed opportunity. I feel like this was one of those games where you should gain and lose characters as you're playing through, and she should be one of the characters that you're building through, and then all of a sudden she goes all monster and turns. That would be, I would love something like that. Like that old Final Fantasy VII with your one character. We all know who I'm talking about. Who something happens to them and we lose, but yeah, very interesting. see. Yeah. And I love when they add all this extra lore and just story to go along with the game to really help bring your characters to life. Rasputin. And now, I mean, yeah, they used actual, I mean, it's a drawing, but yeah, that's what that guy looked like. Can't imagine he is one of the characters you'd be playing, though. He's always like the villain. Lord Adam. I'm loving these characters. This is great. Very cool. Next, we have all of the tokens and all of the locations. So, we have different health tokens. And then here we have different statuses by the looks of it. So, let's see. Let's pull you over. So, we have fire. Yeah, fire. Gate tokens. So, these are gate tokens right here. And then here's that path, that tunnel token. And, yep, wound. Just different wound tokens. And then here's our different areas. And let's see. Oh, and it does have back printing. Very cool. And yes, I do have my guinea pigs on cue to start chewing at their cage as we are going through this game to add suspense. No, not really. They just hear me messing with plastic and they think it's feeding time. Interesting. Your progression token. This is for, where are you, big board? I believe to go here, and so as you're progressing through, because you'll set that there, and I believe you set your monster that you're fighting on top, and you move him along the way. And I love how the locations, they're let's see, how are you going to punch? Not as easy as I would have expected, but still it came out very nice. But I mean, look, I mean, it's not just a standard square. I love that. Oh, see, look at that. I love that. It really makes it look, excuse me, so much better. And then we have some abilities right there to add to your board. Let's see what. All right, and then we have some of the smaller health tokens. A couple more abilities. There is your starting space token. And then here another angular token, again, an oddly shaped. Excuse me. Yeah, I love all of that nice little shadow. I guess there's a sunroof. Somebody's watching. Who's watching? Again. All right, and then we have the last thing of punch tokens, and here we have those stairwell tokens. And a couple more map tiles, and here's the largest of them all. Very cool. Looks like a ship on a dock. Interesting how that might come into play. Very cool. All right. Now with this game, we are definitely going to want to stay spoiler free. So we will be very careful about what we look at. This looks like it is probably just the container for the box content. Since this goes ahead and right here on the box says exactly what's in here, I'm not going to worry about unboxing that one. We'll definitely be able to. No, I'm not worried about spoilers. Same thing with that one. However, here for season 1, episodes 1 through 6, these will probably be left in the box. Let's see. So you can see what that is. So that's kind of interesting that they have their own set of tokens in here and cards. Definitely gonna, here in the unboxing, leave this sealed, again, for spoiler purposes. But this is definitely going to be a game that I will be trying my darndest to bring to the table, to do a setup, a rules video, and then a couple playthroughs. In the playthrough, of course, then when we're actually doing it, which we would start here on season 1, episode 1, then of course we will open this and take a look at it, and probably the very first part of that playthrough or whatever will be, you know, unboxing its season. But until then, I think it would be best to leave these sealed. Let's go ahead and start with, let's start with you. Why not? All right. So in here, we have the little set of cards and the Mythos cards. Again, this might be leading into the spoiler territory. So again, we will leave this sealed. Here is the character board. Again, I feel like they're going out of their way to leave that hidden. So we will as well. Here are the additional tokens that we get with this boss. And now onto the miniatures for him. And it looks like not only do we have the miniatures for this ancient one, but it looks like we have his helpers. There we go. Where is that piece of tape? I love having a lid that really helps as you're painting to help protect them, and that these are not such a tight fit that they lock in, because when they lock in, that's when your paint rubs, you know, as you're taking them down. These look like they are the same guy. So 4 of these. Very interesting little death mask going on there. And a Tommy gun. Interesting that he would need a Tommy gun. And then, of course, the thing itself. And here you can see where they put it together, but where they have it, there's natural seams from the tentacles and everything. So there's really not too much cleanup that I think you would need to do there, because it looks very natural. Oh, look at that. I mean, that's just screeching lady horror face and the little hands so innocently down by this. Oh. That is awesome. Now, of course, if during our playthrough we get to this boss, that's who we fillet. Of course, at that point, I will unbox him. But until then, I think we should leave him hidden. Leave those cards hidden. All right. So there you are back. And then the Cthulhu. the Star Spawn. Again, we will leave the Mythos and his card. Leave that there. His specialized tokens. And this, okay, interesting. It looks like it is just 2 monsters. So his minion looks like it's another monster. So that's where we have the Cthulhu and Star Spawn as 2 separate entities. We're here. Let's start with the little guy, the Star Spawn. Here we have a little bit where the mold is, where that arm was, so a little bit of cleanup to do there for that joint. And then same here where that leg joint comes in. But lots of nice texture going on in here. Lots of nice texture for the wing and his tentacles. Close up of that mouth and that face. And again here. This one might not be as bad because that looks like a natural, just, you know, disconnect of where that head should be. So that would probably be good to go. But of course there at the arm you would need to, and the leg. Here we go. And then Cthulhu himself. And this would be the small version of the big guy that we have. And here you can see where there's the mold line there and there. So he will have a little bit more cleanup. But again, lots of great texture. Very cool miniature. Back in there. And next, a couple more monsters. There we go. And looks like this is double layered. Oh, tape. All right. There we go. Take a look at the tape on this. Yeah. Double taped. All right. All right. So it looks like we have 3 different sculpts here. Go ahead and take a look at the bottom layer first. Love all these little feet. That's awesome. Oh. Just looks like bone tentacles or spinal cord tentacle kind of things going on. Now, some parts of him might be a little difficult to paint to get into some of these nooks and crannies, which is why in some cases it's nice to have models that you have to put together yourself so that you can do painting sub-assemblies. But whoa, that's okay. Just my hand that is wonky. I was worried he wasn't weight balanced. And finally, whatever this blob of tentacles is, I mean, is it just me, or does this look like Cthulhu's arm that was just hacked off and is kind of laying on the ground? Oh. Very cool. And I love the packaging so far in this. It all seems packaged real well. All right, guys. I might have to start backsliding a little bit and not recommend this game. I have never had to stop the camera so many times because a coughing spurt has come on. There might be something demonic going on within this game. Buy this one at your own risk. All right, let's keep looking at these miniatures. This one is very interesting. And this looks like it has all of the additional game components. I like it. I mean, it's just this little... I wonder if there's any game use for this. Doesn't look like it. There's a little... And we have our cards. Project Medical Files 8th. Yeah, let's go ahead and leave that sealed. Just in case. And guessing, yep, tape. Which, I mean, it's nice that they have, you know, everything all taped up so nothing opens up. But with how well this is all boxed up, I doubt this was really needed. Let's see. And the next bit, pull that out. There we go. All right. So up first we have our little miniature standee rings, so we can differentiate our characters. The dice. So we have our 3 standard dice and 4 bonus dice. So, and we can see the Cthulhu tentacles and an action, just an action, just a Cthulhu, just the star and a nothing. And I believe it is the same. Oh, actually, it's a little different. Let's see. There is not. So here we have the star and action on the bonus, whereas your standard, for whatever they are, is the tentacle. So that's the difference between the two. And then, of course, they have the nice rounded edges, so they will roll nice. There we go. And let's stick with the enemies real quick. So it looks like there are 2 different whatever these things are. One, 2, 3, 4, 5 of each. That would snarl. And then 2 different sets of cultists. And then whatever that evil thing is. And then it looks like 2 of these. Yep, they're just packaged differently. Oh, look at that facial expression. That is great. Looks like he has a little bit of a horned, beaked nose. And then all of the tokens for that dice mitigation bit. So I'm going to go down your track, one for each color. There's one in there. And then finally, we have our player miniatures. Go. The kid, the little flame hand. Oh, and now Rasputin. Let's get a closer look at his face. That's pretty good. And it looks like I would expect. It'd be interesting to see how we could possibly incorporate him or bring over the Hellboy miniature for him into the game, just to add a little bit of variety. Here's our Indiana Jones wannabe. Again, I also love how they've changed the plastic color. So if you aren't a painter, it'll be very easy to tell what's what, with those cultists being in that red, all the monsters in gray, and your investigators here in this light brown. And our last one. Very cool. Well, whoops, and I left out this. We'll put that on later. Well, that is Cthulhu, Death May Die, a very interesting name. Death May Die. I always found that one to be kind of interesting. I hope you found this unboxing useful, and I hope it helps you to determine if this is a game that you would be interested in, to see if it is something you want to pick up to add to your collection. And as always, I'll see you next time. Bye, guys. And just as a quick follow-up, I kind of understand the purpose and concept of this little sleeve here. When I was pulling this back out so I can put that sleeve back on, being that is a 3-tiered design that kind of stacks one on top of the other, with each upper layer acting as the lid until you get to the top for the one previously. When I went to pull this up, of course, just the top 2 layers came, leaving behind the bottom one, and I had to go digging in to get that. With this on here, now it comes you know, up and out very easily and smoothly. So that would be the reason to help with that multi-tier design. Nice little touch. Nice. You don't usually see this kind of thing, added in. They took a lot of consideration into how their game is packaged, and it goes in very nicely. All right, guys, hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you next time.